I call this meeting to order, please. If you have a cell phone, please turn it off or put it on silent. Roll call, please.
Patel.
Here.
Herrick. Fitzgerald. Here. Irvin.
Here.
Peeler.
Here.
Scramblett.
Here.
Jody.
I make a motion to excuse Councilman Herrick and the mayor.
George, second. Roll call.
Fitzgerald.
Yes.
Irvin.
Yes.
Peeler.
Yes.
Scramblett.
Yes.
Patel.
Yes. Will you stand for the prayer followed by pledge? Let us
Pray, O Lord, that we who serve your people in public office may have your blessings and guidance in our deliberations and decisions, so that what we accomplish here this evening will be just and beneficial to the people whom we serve.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do we have any communications? I need approval for minutes, please.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from 2/11/20.
Motion by Jody,
Second.
second by Adam. Roll call. I'm going too fast, Holler.
Okay. Irvin.
Yes.
Peeler.
Yes.
Scramblett.
Yes.
Patel.
Yes.
Fitzgerald.
Yes.
No petitions or communications, right? We're going to jump around here a little bit because we have a couple guys that will have to leave. We'll start with Mr. Smith first.
Give you an update, we will be purchasing that truck here real soon. Me and Timmy had a little bit of disagreement with what they're gonna take off for our spreader in the back. A disagreement with them out there, so we've got that taken care of. So as soon as we do that, we'll give them a purchase order and we'll get the truck. As far as the fields up there, they're coming along well. We did a lot of work. I mean, it's gonna look nice. Timmy did a lot of work. There's a couple other guys in the service department did a lot of work up there. Got that water under control. We're getting it off the fields. I just hope Indian Creek really appreciates what we've done up there. I know I do. So, you know, I'm part of Indian Creek, I guess. Continue to do coal patching. Deal with the EPA. Like I said, we're going to probably have to raise our CI on our sewage so that we can get our 0% interest loan. Do you want to talk a little bit about that now?
Yeah. I was talking with Bob, and he said that there were some questions, rightfully so, on why the rate raising thing came up in the 11th hour. And I reached out to the EPA. I got some feedback from the EPA that isn't quite an awesome explanation, but I think what contributed to it was when we started this job a long time ago and got a revised schedule from the EPA. To way back when there was a plan to do it, and that plan never came to fruition. So we all sat down and renegotiated and said, sorry it didn't happen, let's renegotiate. And they said, we will give you this really great loan rate, but you have to be under contract with the contractor by the end of 2019, which was an accelerated schedule. So we were very busy trying to get things prepared so that we could meet the obligations that the EPA had set out for us and have the contract under contract by the end of 2019, which meant we had to bid it like by October and get all those things in place. And which also meant that in August we submitted the permit to install to get the EPA time to review the permit to install so we could bid in October. So we had this game plan in our mind on how we were going to satisfy the EPA's requirements. And then we had a meeting with the EPA like a month after we submitted the permit to install, and at that particular meeting, they started to bring up the long-term control plan needed to be updated. And so then we changed gears and moved over to modifying the long-term control plan. And let's see, we met with them 9/24. We sent them a draft of the revised control plan 2 weeks later. There was a bunch of back and forth emails and whatever. We submitted a final long-term control plan in November, and they approved the long-term control plan in January, 2 months after we submitted it to them. And the EPA has a process which they were following, which was, we're not going to review your, we're not going to approve your PTI until until the amended long-term control plan is accepted. So that PTI that I submitted in August was sitting there, which I had budgeted 2 months for them to review, and I thought that was ample, and it had sat from August until this month. And so there's other entities that review finances, and they don't touch the job until the PTI is approved. So all this stuff got backed up on top of itself because we were trying to do this at a very accelerated pace to take advantage of the 0% loan. So that is the story that I have been able to podge together in the time allowed. Is there any questions, or was that yes?
So, in reference to the original application for this type of money, was there anything as far as application which linked it to amended rates and analysis for the approval of money to go to us?
The talk of the money was that I asked this very question to the EPA, and their response was part of the long-term control plan procedure was a 30-day comment period, and during that comment period, the issue was brought up about paying back the loan and the overall funding of the project. I don't know, they didn't tell me who brought it up, only that I know it came up in December and January. And this is the only feedback I have from the EPA, which leads me to believe there was no discussion of it previous to December and January.
When were we supposed to break ground?
This spring. So that is how, or that's my version of how we got here, or my interpretation. And you know, we have the bids in October came in good. I've asked the contractor. Contractor was only required to hold his price for 90 days. And when this stuff with EPA started happening, I mean, nobody wants to rebid this. You know, the headache, the delays, and the likelihood that the prices are going to come back higher. So I asked the contractor to extend his price, and he will extend his price to March 26th of this year. So if we can award the contract to him by March 26th, we don't have to start over again with the bidding, which is desirable.
Agreed.
Yeah, excuse me, in your dealings, you run into this before? Have you run into this before with the EPA?
Well, like I said, because we had to do the accelerated, the EPA is, how can I say this diplomatically? They're a bureaucratic entity, and they're not fast. And they have procedure, do this, do this, do this. If I followed the EPA's procedure, I would have never gotten I would have never gotten under contract by the end of the year. So we had to fast track it and start doing things, multiple things at once. Things that normally would be done one after another. Like we were doing design loan and construction loan at the same time. That's not typical. But the schedule that we were trying to hit that date of get the thing under. Oh, and then consequently, the EPA had been telling me has to be under contract by the end of the year, has to be under contract at the end of the year, and it's not under contract, and it's not the end of the year anymore. They have said they would let it go into 2020. After it was even bid, though. I mean, that was late in the game. The target was moved after I had already bid the job.
To me, just like we got blindsided with this 2 weeks ago.
Yeah,
Now we gotta put this on our people.
yeah, absolutely.
I mean, it's a little ridiculous on somebody's part.
I don't disagree.
And they've had this information since August?
Well, the original preliminary engineering report, where we just kind of were talking in concepts with no real design. It was just the preliminary engineering report is here are the problems and here's some different ways we can solve them and here's the way we recommend solving them. There was talks of rate raising in there, so they've had. The EPA has the preliminary engineering report, and that was in 2018. Now the dollar amount that was in that report was a preliminary report. It didn't have the full design. It didn't have the data we have now. So the concept of raising rates was in the preliminary engineering report back in 2018. But it wasn't a number that you could run with at that point. Yes.
As far as modifying the CI, I mean, I think everybody on council, and I hope everybody on council would agree with this, we recognize you take out a loan, you gotta pay it back, so that's kind of obvious. So we all recognize with additional loan, we have to raise additional funds to meet obligation or move things around just to make it commensurate to pay such a thing back.
Mm-hmm.
My question is this, as far as timeline for paying this back, timeline for instituting the increase on the CI, this is a 0% loan.
Mm-hmm.
That is not being required of payback until construction, everything's done. Is that correct?
That is.
And with a 0%, it behooves us to wait to increase until that time period, simply based upon the fact of natural inflation based upon people's income, getting more income, that would be a lower percent of income increase at that point in time. Does the EPA recognize that? Will they work with us and let's postpone the increase until that said time?
Speak on
I
behalf
can
of
tell you right now, they will not work with us with that.
EPA slow, but they want everything else
I've
to
been
be
talking
fast.
with them over this last 3 or 4 days to try to put this off and whatever else. It's not gonna happen.
Because
And
these
also,
are-
the
this
other
is
thing
interesting. This
is-
is-
If we don't do it, you're not getting the loan, period.
And RCAP
That's
did the rate study, and RCAP has considered the fact that you're gonna start collecting money before you have to start paying, which in the long run allows you to make your increase less. If I start collecting, if I spread the collection period out longer, then the payment increase becomes less. If I wait to start collecting until I owe the money, I then will have to make the rate increase would be more.
Yeah, understand that completely, but at a 0%,
No,
the
well,
numbers are just,
I asked them to put it back. I said, hey.
because man, this is so, because I've went through training with the EPA on rate analysis. That's why I've done rate analysis for the village in the past few years. And this whole thing flies in the face of the things they really taught me
Yeah.
about rate analysis and rate setting. To do this at this point in time, unless we're going to put the money back and like invest in something. But it's what, like how long is the project going to take? From construction to finish, approximately.
18 months.
Yeah. So that amount of time is not much of a difference
No.
there, but it would help our residents to have more time to get prepped and ready in an expectation of reality of
Well, let me tell you something.
modification. This is
I got them to agree to that, okay, because they were gonna tell me that I had to come in here with a resolution, and they weren't even gonna guarantee me the loan, even if we jacked it up. They weren't even gonna guarantee that. Now Spurlock out there, who's the head guy, I talked to him a long time, he said, you get this approved, we'll do it, and we'll revisit it every year. We'll revisit the increments every year. But, I was begging and pleading with him, because I'll tell you right now, if you don't get this loan now and you go back to square one,
No, yeah, you don't want to do that. That's no.
it's just,
It's not an option.
you know, it isn't an option at this point in time, you know. But for them to spring this on us in December or whatever else, it just,
What are
Yeah.
the incrementals?
it's 4-3-2-2, but, you know, you could, like I said, I think after the 4, I think we, you know, we show that we can do what we need to do. You know,
Yeah.
then that we won't do any of that. But, you know, like I said, they're the EPA.
And
you
they'll
know,
let us not do that?
Oh,
I
yeah,
mean, we
yeah,
have-
if we show that we can handle the loan now, you know, the payment, oh, yeah. That'll be written into the ordinance, actually, because I want that guaranteed from them also. But, I tell you, I've been going around with them guys, you know, it hasn't been fun, you know. Like I said, to have this spring on us like this, I mean, look what you're getting though. You got to start looking at that also. Well, what we're going to be getting for our money, and this has to be done. And you know, if you want to go in phases, you know, the Lincoln Avenue was 2.2 million. We still owe 1.6 million on that. 2.2 million, okay, and you're paying $16,000 every year in interest on that loan. You know, so if you want to think about backing out of that and going that route, you're looking at $10-12 million to get this whole thing done. And we're going to get everything done one fell swoop for, you know, $5.5 million. Plus, we're getting a grid system put in and whatever else, and hopefully lower our costs with, you know, variable frequency drives on our new pumps and everything. So, you know, I didn't want to have to do anything for people, honestly, you know, but I got plans even later that might be able to offset a little bit of this.
Yes.
These comments, public comments? Is there public access to the comments that were placed upon such that brought these things to light?
Some yes, some no. I don't know in particular.
Okay.
But
Because that is very, very curious that at the last second some things were raised by some individuals from some parts of some agencies that have resulted in this being such the major issue as far as the timeline. And that raises intrigue.
Anybody else have anything for the gentleman? Patty?
I don't know how to resolve it. What's our next step? What do we have to do to get this
Well, we'll
resolved?
bring in a resolution to pass an ordinance for next
As soon as
meeting.
possible.
But we'll do that when we come to ordinances, and we'll do that later.
Okay.
For a $4 increase.
Yeah.
On the CI, we're not, you know,
It's not on gallon, tell me.
yeah, it's not on a variable rate, so I mean, it's just on the CI. I thought that was the fairest way to do it, and like I said, I may have some plans down the road to help that out.
Nothing else? Thank you. Bob, you got anything else, Ralph?
Yeah, I'm still.
No, no.
Oh, no, I don't, no. Thanks.
you good?
Thanks for coming out, we appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So after all that, hired a driver, I'll be Chapano. We talked about erecting a new shelter house, that still remains open. I don't know if we're gonna end up doing it or not, just depend on our budget and what's going on with our budget. I think it'd be a very good idea if we could, honestly. Advertise for park managers. You know, we gotta get moving on that. You know, last year, it was a hard time. I saw Karen and I said, Karen, you know, she just looked at me and smiled. That's all I can tell you. And I don't think it was a good smile either, so. She did a pretty good job up there for us too. We continue to repair and replace catch basins. Got a clog line at the bottom of Logan Avenue, Cal and I have been working on. Need to approve that resolution for the bridges. That's just for them to inspect the bridges. They have their own team. Now for any repairs has to be done, of course, we'd have to incur that cost to do the repairs, but you have to have your bridges inspected, I think every 18 months if I'm not mistaken. But they do this for free for us if we get into their group, so. Rather have them do it and then, you know, them pay for it than us.
Excuse me, what bridges?
Our bridges that we have here, you know, like over
Across the
Logan and, no, like.
They belong to the state, don't belong to us, do they?
Yeah, no.
The bridges that go over Route
Yeah,
7
that's
belong
us.
to us.
That's us.
Like,
They come in and they.
the one by St. Agnes
Yeah,
that the
they come in
rebar
and-
is showing?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they inspected that, but it's still solid as far as, you know,
Okay.
it's structurally sound. It's ugly, but structurally sound.
Because commercial street was still paying on that thing.
Mhm.
$1,100 some a month. or a year.
Which one are you talking about? The one we did down there?
On South Commercial.
Oh,
Yeah, that's still a city street. I mean,
Yeah.
that's still gonna be our responsibility, man, but that's why you wanna have it inspected,
Okay.
and then you're clear.
it's pretty amazing that we got the permit to install. Too bad we have a loan, we got the permit to install. That's all I have, and then I'll give Wayne's report here. They continue to do shut-off notices to delinquent accounts. Department installed 44 new meters in George's Run. They're moving along down there. They're getting that done well. Routine service calls, routine compliance samples are sent to Madge Labs. Received core total of trial methylene analysis results significantly under the EPA limit. We had an issue with that a long time ago. We are reading the radio reads monthly as opposed to estimates. So as soon as George's Run is done and that area down there will all be, there will be no more estimates done. It will be all red. New utility office workstation computer is installed. Sludge thickener drive lift unit has been removed and sent for rebuild. And continue to identify and disconnect services to vacant properties. And also with this stuff with the EPA and all that, you know, we're trying to invest in that sewage treatment plant, and we've made a lot of investments. So I'm hoping that, you know, we're not going to have anything major that we have to do here in the next 2 or 3 years. I don't think there's anything down there that's really major that we have to do. I think that we've taken care of all that, so we're off on the right foot with that. So, you know, pay me now or pay me later, guys. I mean, it's sorry that it happened that way, but that's all we can do right now. Trust me, I've spent a lot of time on the phone with these folks. I'm very frustrated with things that are going on a little bit. But
Anybody else have anything to Bob? Mr. Smith, I mean,
Does the school know about the ice buildup around?
yeah, that thing was overflowing. What's going on? And I don't know where it comes when it's up there. I don't know if there's. I don't know where that water's coming from actually. When it's above that, because where it was coming out before, that was that lift station. I think a little breaker, and it was just seeping out. So they knew about that. Yeah.
okay. All right, the mayor's not here, I have nothing from him.
Wait a minute, hold on.
Do,
He's got a report.
I'll get back to him, just
Oh,
relax.
okay.
I'm reading what comes
Someone's
through
gonna
here.
pardon me.
Building administrator, are you gone? Clerk, he's not here.
Fingers hurt after you do that.
Ernie, you have anything?
Other than what I passed out to council now.
Okay. Chief of police.
Our new officer was hired on, sworn this last Friday, the 21st. He started Sunday. Detectives, right now we got him 2 days a week working detective until we get this new officer trained. And we'll put him with a detective 5 days a week here and just a couple days a week up in the task force. Then they're going out to the report.
Anything else? Anything, Joe? Nobody? Jimmy, fire chief.
Yeah, real quick, just a couple little things. We had, for last month, January, we had 83 calls, most of them being medical calls, obviously. If you're keeping track, we did get dispatched up to Steubenville 19 times to answer their calls, but we only answered 4 of them, because that's the only ones we had extra crew members to go up there and handle the calls. Our two youngest firemen that went to the advanced EMT class, they passed their practical exam, which is the hands-on part of their testing, and now they both have to go take the written test, and they have to pass the written in order to be qualified to be an advanced EMT. Also, last week, I sent out demolition orders to the property owners at 637 Commercial, the old Flower Village, and 645, the old Argo Bar. 637 last weekend, or last Friday, something like that. Friday before last. One of the plate glass windows that was on the front of the building broke out onto the sidewalk. It was out on the sidewalk, so I'm thinking that maybe the building was sagging or something, as opposed to if somebody threw a rock to it or something glass and stuff would have went inside. But I guess it kind of exploded out onto the sidewalk, so I'm thinking the building is sagging the front of it, putting pressure on it. They got big, I think there's only one plate glass window left. The other ones are all broken out. Once that window was broke because they spray painted the windows so we couldn't see in. Once we was able to see in the building, the 1/3 of the back of the roof is collapsed. The second floor is down into the first floor. All the windows are out in the back of the building, so the building's fallen down. So I wrote, that building was already condemned years ago, and they never did anything about it. I guess we've never pushed it until this point. And when we were up in the back of the building taking photographs, we noticed that the Argo, it's been in bad shape for many years as well. It's also condemned, but the half of that roof is down in the building. So I wrote demolition orders for both property owners. That sounds all well and good, except that the code says that if they don't comply, the responsibility falls back on the village to demolish the building and put a lien on the property. So,
Aren't these people still living? Are they still around?
yes, they're both local.
Can we cite them in the court?
We can cite them into court, but the court, I don't think the court's gonna tell them they gotta do that. You know, they can fine them, it's a fine.
Yeah, basically, that's right, it's a fine. Usually what happens is they get a fine. It tends to be, it can be a continuing fine,
Is it a substantial fine?
$600 a day.
$600?
$100.
$100.
It's
But
not-
I mean, if we let that build with interest?
Well, first you gotta find a judge that's gonna fine them $100 a day.
Yeah, and that's not like, I mean, what usually happens is when you do get them into court, they'll get a fine, and then they'll be given X number of days to tear it down, and then you get to the process again to get them back into court. The problem on the other side is, in order to tear it down, we have the money. We gotta be willing to put the money out, put a lien on the property. The problem you resolve with that until the property sells, you're never getting that money back. That could be a long time too. I mean, it's not a good process, it's not a good situation, but it's a problem that everybody has.
Is the land bank still in operation? Are
I
they
don't know,
still
but I
taking money?
actually turned over the Argo to the land bank. I
Because
had the
of-
owner sign off.
Okay.
And I'm gonna call them.
Glad you mentioned that because
Find out.
we heard that and it was like, I don't know,
Still in the
according to
deed,
the
right?
courthouse, it's
Still
still
in
in
the
the owner's name.
Okay.
And I said, but the land bank's level will be like the banks. They don't really take possession of them, they just
Yeah.
take control of them,
Or
so.
they could help get a phase one asbestos study. I mean,
There's no funding, they already.
they already
done, aren't they?
went through
They're
everything.
done, aren't they, pretty
Yeah,
much?
absolutely. And remember, the orientation, the emphasis was on residential,
Residential.
not commercial.
Right.
Right.
No
But
funding
could
for
get
demolition
commercial
there at all.
if it met the parameters, because that's how we got the KOP.
Yeah, but we paid
Yeah, that was-
$26,000 too.
Yeah, but it
so,
was a big
Yeah.
undertaking.
And that was the one and only exception that occurred during that history of demolitions.
Argo.
That's because somebody was tenacious.
I don't know who, but yeah, heard that.
Our fire department was too good.
So that's all I have for a report of the fire department. Like I said, the demolition orders stand on them 2 buildings, but, you know, I give them 90 days because you gotta give them time to do stuff like that, and you can't just give them a week or something to tear down a building, so I gave them 90 days to take care of it. So until 3 months is up, we can't go to court or do anything else and take a next step. Now, if something is involved with that land bank and, you know, somebody wants to pursue that for the Argo,
And every comment too, whenever, all those demolitions, and we often know this, those are 6-figure.
Yeah.
That's a 6-figure demolition, every one of them. So, you know, this is not, you know, small investment.
Wasn't somebody doing cheaper than that? I mean, they took that KP down pretty cheap. We had 20.
Yeah, but they did a crappy job.
Well, I know that.
Luke looks rallying
And
for
there was
votes,
no
so-
oversight by the land
Political
bank.
season.
I know.
Luke looks rallying for
Right.
votes.
Did we also, didn't we
Yeah,
also
we got
make
that
the,
done.
land bank paid
So, yeah, I know.
justice?
The land bank and the Mingo Revitalization Committee split the asbestos on the KP.
Because that would have to be done also, probably.
Yeah.
Anybody else got anything for Jimmy? But I do. This was put in my mailbox at home in an envelope, and it said on there, see if you can do something about this. I got another one coming for you. That's what it said on the note. So I asked her just about who was on the safety committee. I don't know. I don't know if I'm on it. I know Mike is,
And I'm on it.
and she's on it.
And then
Anyhow, this
Kyle's
is
on
the place up on top of the hill, next to Hillsborough Tavern. These pictures.
Next to Hillsborough Town.
Yeah. Right below it.
The
Garage, the
apartments?
big garage.
No.
Oh,
There's a
across
garage
the
up
street.
there.
The garage, the junkyard. I'll give you all these pictures, okay?
Oh, okay.
And there's a copy of the ordinance, somebody put it in there and it tagged it, so that they know what the hell they're doing.
What ordinance? What?
I don't know, it's like,
Well, the one they have tagged in there, I didn't think it really applied.
I don't know what that tagged, I didn't read it.
I did.
It ain't none of my business, I just went
Talked
and looked at
about
it.
prices and stuff, I didn't think it
Who?
really applied.
Prices, fees.
Like
Fees,
fees
yeah.
and building
Yeah.
permits and things.
Yeah,
I don't know what he's
yeah, I
talking
don't
about.
think
Cost
they
of
really
construction,
applied.
I don't know what they tagged, it was in my mailbox. And I got it, so I'm passing it off on to you, because you're the acting chief.
What does it have to do with property maintenance? I don't understand what you're
It is,
trying
yeah.
to.
Well,
Yes, the
no
pictures
doubt.
do, the
If you look at
pictures.
these
Yeah.
pictures, you'll see
the
why,
property
because
maintenance law.
Can you pass the
Sure,
pictures
here.
down so we can all see them before you pass them over? To see what he's talking about?
there's chairs up there, there's an old, a couple of good,
I was gonna say, to piggyback off of that, I know, we're kind of gonna be through February here soon, but I know on the horizon is gonna be the high weed complaints and everything that, it's kind of like Groundhog Day every year. Is there anything we can do to work together with you to maybe look at the property maintenance code or whatever we can do, maybe put a little bit of teeth in it to help you, be able to enforce certain things? Or, it seems like every year we chase our tail with this and it's like,
Well,
Yeah.
it's just a matter of us being able to get out and do it, and
that's right.
Oh.
we have to have inspectors to be able to do it.
right, that's
And,
number one.
and we have to have the time to be able to do it, or the money to pay overtime to be able to do it. So
Yeah.
we'll have to see how that works out. But we do have, the last firefighter the village hired is a state certified inspector. So now there's 3 of us, although John's off on extended sick leave.
Yeah.
We have one more in the department, so we ought to be able to get out.
Yeah.
We got one more person.
I'm just saying, is there anything as far as the current code or the current ordinance that, we need to tweak or we
I
need to?
don't know, we
kind of-
follow the code, I mean,
it's a state code, it's.
yeah, it's the
Well,
international
There was-
code.
there
There's nothing we
something-
can do about, sometimes, they come look at something, they say,
There were like
well,
trees or
we only do
bushes.
high grass, we can't do high weeds. It's like,
We
if
did
something's
make some
overgrown,
modifications already,
if something's overgrown, if something's out of control,
I think we did make some modifications as far as
I
trees
think
and
we
stuff,
needed
didn't
to
we?
want to.
tweak
We
the
wanted
bushes
to.
and the
Yeah.
trees.
We
I
didn't
don't
put
think
that in?
we,
Yeah, we
Can
talked
they
about it.
modify, how much modification can they do? Because,
We do it
it was
around.
it's the international property maintenance code.
It's basically a standardized code
I-
adopted by the state of Ohio. If you want to do something separate apart from that, then you're going to have to make sure that it fits within the parameters of what you're allowed to do.
I just want to make sure.
One of the issues that I know Jim runs up across is trees.
Yeah, that's what we talked about specifically.
Oh, that trees, shrubs, high weeds as opposed to high grass. There's
I don't
different.
think high weeds is treated differently.
It's not that much of a problem, it's trees and shrubs. They're accepted from property maintenance. It's basically grass. Grass is considered, high grass is
Well, even
considered a
weeds.
weed. So,
I'm talking like high weeds, say like those big water weeds. My neighbor has them planted up against a fence, and we looked at it. Johnny came, looked at it last year, and he said, "Oh well, we do high grass and things like that, but we can't do." I forget what his
well, if it's
reason was that he couldn't do.
cultivated,
It's not cultivated. It's just these high. It's those
Yeah,
things that grow up look like bamboo. There's those big water weeds, and they end up grow all summer long. And if you don't cut them early, they just get out of control.
well, we can get out there, we got an extra guy now, we're just gonna have to get out there and hit it harder. But, you know, there's a lot of exceptions and a lot of, you know, it covers certain things and it doesn't cover others, you know. People see shrubs that don't get cut and don't like the way it looks and thinks it's not neat or something like that, and it may not be, but, you know, there are certain things that just aren't covered. We can't.
One of the things to keep in mind, you can't legislate how it looks. You can legislate if it is a violation of the code. You can look if it's a safety hazard. We have provisions if.
Can you be specific if it reaches like a height of X number of feet, or, you know, you can't say that? I mean,
Well,
I'm just saying if there's anything we can do to help you guys out
I mean,
to help,
that's
I
the
mean,
issue,
just let
you
us
know,
know.
The word.
Yeah.
you know, I mean, if somebody may have a tree in their yard that's 40 feet high, but it's not a hazard. It's not, you know.
I'm talking some people's like regular little bushes and
I-
shrubs that are
I
meant to be
understand.
3 feet high grow to be
I
like 12 feet
I
high.
understand exactly what you're
Yeah.
talking about.
Yeah.
I am, okay. Jimmy.
One of the things I would just bring up on this is, I'll be happy to check into this. I know what you're talking about, but isn't this area commercial?
Yeah, some of the pictures are a little old. I went and looked at that tonight before I come down here.
Okay,
Some
well,
of that stuff
I'm not
is-
gonna, you know, if I do anything,
He
it's,
is zoned up there. I don't know what he's zoned for though.
well, that's what I'm saying. I think it's
But
commercial.
where's he?
I think heavy. I think heavy.
Light industry.
I think it's heavy industry.
Sure? I think it's.
But where he's zoned
It's
at
certainly
is,
industry.
doesn't cover all of
It is. I
it.
think it's heavy.
Okay.
Right, truth.
You know what I'm saying?
He fought for that years ago and slipped it in. I'm pretty
Ernie,
sure.
you know what he just said?
Yeah.
Where he's zoned at might not cover where all that stuff is back against the hillside. I don't know if it's zoned
Okay.
back in there or not.
I think
It's up against Joe's backyard almost.
Well, they also filled that hollow in
Joe's
too.
backyard.
They've been filling that hollow in for years, so I don't know
Yeah,
whose
they
property.
keep pushing and pushing it
Well,
over.
Yeah.
okay, no problem.
I will look into it.
All right, one more thing. How's your chief and what is he?
He's on extended sick leave. That's all I can say. Probably at least another month.
Okay.
One question I always asked, I know you were sending out the certified letters. Can we change the process of certain certified letters and give like an issue citation right off the bat, we'll save it time? I mean, I asked you before on that, Ernie, I mean,
It's not
No,
in,
you have to-
I have to send them a written notice, and it has to include a whole lot of things. Exactly what part of the code it's a violation of, what you're telling them they have to do to fix it, their appeal rights, and what the fines can be, and all this kind of stuff. I mean, the code actually spells out what you have to send them, and I can send it. You can give it to them in person. You can mail it to them first class. You can do certified. You can post like a building. You can actually just post it on the building, but to have a like a citation book, like you guys have a
No,
ticket
I'm not
book
saying
or
that.
something like
I know,
that.
like, when we do the certified letters for like junk cars, for like impounds, it takes about another 7 days. By the time you get them sent out, by the time you get them back, that's 7 days. Then you got them 10 days to get the car taken care of. I was wondering, anyway, we can help you to speed up the process, because that takes 17 days out of the day. If you can hand it in person, now you're 10 days
Well,
first, now.
We can do it in person. I
You know what
mean,
now you're 10 days,
that's
17
it's legal
days.
to do it in person.
That's what I'm saying, can we do it that way? I mean,
The whole reason to do the registered with the return signature thing is the proof that they got served. So, you know, it isn't, well, I didn't get that in the mail. You know, I can send first class mail, and I do that for basic stuff like your grass is high, the car's broke down. Usually I just send out a notice in the mail. If they argue or want to fight it or something, or say they didn't get it, then I'll go back to register. But like a demolition order, something serious, then I go through the registered mail with the signature card, so that I can prove in court, you got the notice, you signed for it, you knew that on this date you had 15 days to do this or 30 days to do that.
So
So
if he had a hand delivered.
if the police department or somebody hand delivers this
we have
and they
body
mark
cams
down the
nowadays.
date,
No, against a signature? Ain't that the
Body-
same thing?
yeah,
Yeah,
body
well, we have
cam.
body camera.
yeah,
understand, you got a
if
body
it's hand
camera.
delivered, that's, in person is a documented way to deliver it.
Unless
We
they
get a-
don't open the door for you.
But if you said, you send a notice, you walk up with a body cam, you write up a notice, you have 5 days, 10 days to get your grass cut, it's recorded now, it's on your front door, it's posted. So you're actually, from that day on, record, we can download it on our dock saying, hey, you were
Well,
notified on the body.
The body cam and that stuff, that's gonna be Ernie's decision.
I'm saying because that helps this process, because I'm
You
gonna have
guys get
17
together
days
on
to do
that,
crack.
okay? You guys get together on that.
I'm saying it
Good
takes
thoughts.
17 days to
Good
do
ideas.
crack.
Let's
That's
move
a
on.
progression.
Working
That's
in
good.
conjunction, work together.
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Thank you, Jimmy.
We'll work on it. All right.
Cal, you got something?
Yes, sir.
Well, you gotta stand up.
Need help?
You gotta wipe
Give me
your
a
glass up,
second,
you can see.
Thank you, Jack. We finished up repairing a storm line on Centennial Way. That was a 34-foot. Somebody tore up, we replaced it, it's done, it's filled in. We cleaned all the brush away from the main sewer line from State Street to the new spur going to the FEX yard. That's that's our sewer line along the railroad tracks by the mill. That's at least 900 yards long. Mr. Ruckman was informed that the new spur that was put in for XEX has blocked our access to the rest of our main line going to the plant. We can't even get over to our stuff now because FEX ran a spur. We can't get over it. So Mr. Ruckman is going to deal with that and get us access one way or another for that to get to the rest of our sewer line. We also discovered 2 manhole lids were stolen next to the access road when we went back there and cleaned all the weeds and grass out all the way down through there. They have been replaced and we put new location markers next to each of the manholes so they're a lot easier to identify. The reason we're doing this is because our yearly cleaning is coming up for cleaning the grid out of that whole thing. We want to have the access. Mr. Waugh did a superb job in cleaning back 15 feet off of the right-of-way because the sewer line actually ran about 10 feet off the actual line and we cleared it all off, all the way from the spur to State Street. Like Bob mentioned, we ran the super sucker on commercial all day today. It's about, each manhole is usually 300 feet. There's 4 manholes that are completely blocked, 8-inch pipe, completely blocked with gravel. And we can usually get about 100 feet before the super sucker is either out of water or full of water. That takes about 40 minutes to take it down the plant because it's sewage, it's got to go to the plant. We dump it, clean it, put water back in it, start all over again. Today, we made about 220 feet from 9 o'clock this morning until 5 o'clock this afternoon. This is a very stubborn section. There's 5 houses going on the on-ramp out of town. I know at least 3 of them do not have everything's plugged up. The next thing is, as I stated in my last report, the increase in revenue at the wastewater plant by septic haulers is up 64%. The mill has increased up to 42%. There's a new septic hauler, Berger Septic, who has turned in all their necessary paperwork to begin dumping at the plant. All I have to do is see them pull up the front door. Everything's good to go. They have asked to be able to dump 3 loads a week. And this is what's coming out of well sites. It's gray water, it's not septic, it's showers and laundry, which won't hurt my plant at all. The revenue per week is $135 if they do 3 loads a week. And that's year round, once they get started. The county has seen a steady increase in revenue since the new flow meters were installed. I don't have the actual this year's numbers, but every time I check and read the meter once a month, the bill's going up and up and up. The next thing is the total revenue at the plant, thanks to Mr. George Irwin to give me this data. The increase in the past 2 years at the wastewater plant's revenue from 2017 to 2019 has increased from $423,478 in 2017. In 2019, at the end of the year in 2019, the revenue was $505,035. This amount is an increase in the past 2 years of $81,557. This does not account for the new septic hauler, which is a potential per year of another $7,200. About a year ago, I did a presentation on the wall, and once we increased the meter and all that, and you probably remember what I did, it said $100,000 is what my revenue was. Well, this is proof positive from the bookkeeper and Mr. Irwin going through it that the amount is $81,500 increase in revenue. And I'd like you to understand it's very hard to increase a revenue in a sewer plant unless somebody built a house. And to be able to accomplish, I'm quite proud of that. The last thing, next to last thing, annual sludge report was completed. I don't want you to be confused with when I said in December that the sludge report was done. That was part A. The first day of March, the actual what went to the farm report has to be done. I have completed it, but I'm waiting for Mr. Ruckman to approve it before it gets sent in. The data that I got off of that sludge report was the average daily flow in gallons to my plant, according to last year's sludge report, was 739,000 gallons a day. My plant permit is for 600,000 gallons a day. So I've had an increase in flow in 1 year of 139,000 gallons a day. This is because I actually raised the meters in the basement to know exactly what flow is coming in this plant before they would tap out. They would tap out at 1,800 gallons a minute, and they wouldn't go any higher. That's how much they was read. Even though the plant would have flow coming in at 2,100 gallons, it would only read 1,800. We recalibrated them, and this is the result of the actual numbers that are coming in the plant. These meters do not top out anymore and give me false readings. We have actually taken, we had a problem with the pumps coming on at the right time, and it was causing a backflow of the water, which made my meter readings go up. That was a year ago, and I made the company come in and resequence these pumps so the third one actually comes on before it backflows. So I don't get any false readings from inside my plant going backwards. And this is a result of what's going on in the plant. And the last thing I wanted to mention was, about a year ago, a guy put in an application for part-time at the sewer plant. This guy is so interested in having a job that he has been studying. I gave him all my study material. He's been studying for a Class 1 license for almost a year. I gave him a test to see how well he was doing. He's been studying on his own. I gave him a test to see how well he was doing. At the plant, he came in. I said, here's the test. I got to go do something. He did the test. He actually passed the test. Now this guy's a part-timer, really serious in working at the wastewater plant. And this is a guy I would like to hire if you would ever let me hire a part-timer. I'm really impressed with this guy's attitude of wanting to start a new career. That's all, Jack.
All right, Cal, thank you. Any questions for Cal? Thank you, Cal. Let's go to finance. There's a finance meeting Thursday, 6:30. Is that right?
6.
6? Good.
No, I will be absent. It was parent-teacher conference night, and usually there's no one that wants to conference the high school teacher this split year, but I got one. So I won't be here.
Who?
Zach won't be
There'll be
here.
4 of us, that's all.
You're doing such a good
I
job.
don't know,
That's why
probably
I'm
didn't have
talking.
one last week. I have no idea.
Yeah.
I don't know.
He won't.
Anyhow, ordinances, we got a couple, who's in charge of ordinances?
I'm chairman of the committee.
Okay.
I have one before me. It's ordinance 2020-5. It has no exact title per se, but it's really legislation in reference to the Director of Transportation bridge inspection. We'll just say bridge inspection.
That's it. That's
We'll just cover it that way.
That's good.
Yeah.
Good name for it.
Absent the title, but nonetheless.
That's the state form.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
the
it's
state
the
form.
state doing
Yeah,
what they wanna
that's
do.
what it's-
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Not realizing they made laws for local municipalities.
I agree.
3 readings.
3 readings? You
Yeah.
don't want emergency? No, nothing?
Just 3 readings is all
Okay.
you need to do.
All right. On
You have
the,
to suspend the, you guys
Yeah.
suspend the rules, give it.
okay, go ahead.
I move that a rule requiring an ordinance or resolution to be read by title only on 3 separate occasions be dispensed with, and ordinance or resolution number 2020-5 be given its second and third reading at this time by title only and placed before this council for its final passage or rejection.
Have a second?
Second?
Adam? Roll call?
Second, Adam.
Yes.
Okay. Peeler,
Yes.
Cramblett,
Yes.
Bertel,
Yes?
Fitzgerald,
Yes.
Irvin.
Yes. Ordinance 2020-5, an ordinance to set up and proceed with bridge inspection. Ordinance 2020-5, a resolution ordinance to set up bridge inspection.
Doing a good job, George.
That's the
You're doing a really
nicest
good job.
stuff.
I make a motion that ordinance 2020-5 be adopted this time.
Second.
Bertel and Fitzgerald. Roll call. When you're-
Cramblett,
Yes.
Bertel,
Yes.
Fitzgerald,
Yes.
Irvin,
Yes.
Peeler.
Yes.
Now I need a resolution to bring a ordinance in.
It's not a resolution, somebody needs to make a motion to bring an ordinance in to increase the sewage rate.
Okay.
With sewage
CI.
capital improvement
CI.
rates.
Got him?
I'll do it. I move that a motion be made to adjust the CI rates according to the projections provided by our consultants and our administrator, based on a verbiage from Ernie as far as the revisiting every year and additional verbiage as needed. You know.
Have a second? I second it.
Do we need to specify the year 1 increase in it, or you'll do that in all the
Oh,
verbiage?
yeah, I assume the effective date will be April 1st.
Okay, so you'll put the specifics in your.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what you need April 1st? Or you need it March 1st?
In order to be March 1st, we gotta pass it before.
Well,
the month.
I'm just asking a
That's
question,
the-
I'm just
Yeah,
asking.
April.
Well, it'll be March 16th when we actually.
But when you
March
pass
10th.
it, though, but you need to start it on the first of the month, because that's when your bills are.
Well, as long as we get it, as long as we get something through by March 10th or whatever else. Our next meeting is March 10th. Pretty sure 9th or 10th.
Something like that. 9.
10th is
It
a
would
Tuesday.
be,
Yeah, March
yeah,
10th.
the 10th.
And be it known that this increase was brought down by the EPA as a stipulation for the release of funds of our 0% loan that we had prearranged. And a failure to do so would result in forfeiting of our loan and resetting and starting back from square one
And a much
So-
higher cost.
at a much higher cost. So
I mean, we're not gonna
it's
get the numbers like I said.
it's not something we want to do.
from-
It's
from
something that just has to be
contractor.
done.
You're not gonna get
Yeah.
those numbers again. I couldn't believe what he came in with.
All right, Adam made a motion, I second it. Roll call.
Bertel,
Yes?
Fitzgerald,
Yes.
Irvin,
Yes.
Peeler.
Yes.
Cramblett.
Yes.
Okay, nothing else under ordinance we have, George?
Nothing here at this time, sir.
Okay. Does anybody have anything for, under committees, chairmans? Go ahead, George.
The Economic Development Committee met before this regularly approved meeting. Just discussed a few things, one of which I wanted to bring up, which I'll get with the mayor independently also, just to bring to council's mind also, to think thereabout. I seem to have placed it otherwise, but, oh wait, yeah. The CRA, the Community Reinvestment Area, which encompasses the entire village. Yeah, we passed it over 4 years ago. We still have yet to complete or create the Community Reinvestment Area Housing Council, which was supposed to have 2 members by the mayor, 2 members by council, 1 member by plan commission, and then that group selects 2 other members from the village at large, and that'd be 2 appointees, not like members of council. I didn't specify that, I apologize. This would, be a committee through which people could, businesses could seek property tax, a little assistance that they make an investment in a remodel or something like that, in which they can keep the property tax value pre-improvement for a certain amount of years and a certain percent. Or as also, if a person wants to build a house in the village, they can apply before building starts and keep the property tax level at pre-construction cost for about a decade. So I think it would be something if people knew a little more about, maybe it would be more advantageous, but we have to have that housing council kind of put together. So I will talk to the mayor also a little bit about that, make sure that he remembers about that to get that set up and established. In addition, which I want to get with the mayor and Bob also to talk about is, last year we had that luncheon at JSW, which was good, could have been a little better, but which was okay. In reference to doing something this year also, we were talking about an economic development summit, and the question is whether to do just a village-wide thing, a county-wide thing, or open it up to an area-wide thing. I'm hesitant for area-wide. I like to be more localized, whether it's just village or we go up to county-wide kind of thing, and incorporate our municipalities in that and keep it a spring type thing, but not a luncheon, more of a dinner type thing this time, because the luncheon was indeed an issue for many people to attend. So something for you guys to think about a little bit, what you think might be the best route to move forward, and then we can start the planning process and look at different things to get that done. Ideally, again, look for additional sponsors, so that again, just like last year, it'll be 0 cost for attendees, just to help encourage people to come together, communicate, talk about development, talk about the future of the village, and indeed the county at large if we were to open it up for a more county-wide discussion. And one more thing we also discussed, which is something I will want you, Bob, especially to think about, is we definitely, again, I've mentioned this before, we have a need for a community-wide development plan. And there's routes to go about that. There is some funding, grant money for that through the EPA, as well as, I think, through ODSA. I'm not 100% certain on that. And the question is, if we were to go that route, which route would we take? We could take a route through Omega. Omega has done, can do, and will be able to oversee that. Alternatively, we could even work through Governor's Office of Appellation directly, or even Governor's Office Assistant, and work with universities, whether it be Youngstown State, WVU, or the Voinovich School at High University, to seek people to come to the village to look at our village, work with us, because it's not going to be them working independently, or even council independently. It's the whole community-wide coming together and say, okay, what do we see the village being in the future? What type of assets do we have now we want to see grow? And what type of future assets do we see as being a part of the community going forward? In addition, we also talked about, of course, the developing business as far as PALs coming to the village. I mentioned that months ago. And of course, with their, we see, of course, the old church kind of coming down, but of course, future things going in there is indeed advantageous. That pretty much comprises the things we talked about during the meeting. I return to the floor.
Thank you, George. I do have one thing on committees. I checked on the EMS committee. There's Mr. Wilson, Mr. Huggins, the fire chief, Jody Lynn is on it. You hear me, Jody?
Yeah, I heard you.
Okay, and Mrs. Kersani that I know right now.
Jane,
Okay.
I did not remember.
I don't know, you probably should get a hold, maybe the assistant chief, see if they have any bills to write off. It's probably been a while since they had a meeting.
I've never had a meeting. So I
been a
didn't
while.
even know I was on this committee.
Well, I checked and that's what I found.
Yeah, when I went to an Explorer meeting, they let me know. And it was like,
Okay.
oh, really?
Well,
Yeah, I didn't know.
but you probably should, I don't know what I'm telling you, you should tell Jim or Ernie.
It's Ernie, Jags, Jane, me, and the chief.
Yeah.
Is that right?
In which case, at this point, Jim is
Would be
acting
Jim.
chief.
Acting chief, okay.
But I think you should have probably a meeting to write off some bills, get them off the books.
Yeah, talk to Jim. And,
Talk to Jim about
I'll
it.
go after,
Okay.
after the
he usually
meeting.
compares, the uncollectible stuff.
All right. Are we done with all that? I'm gonna go to the audience. Harry, you got anything?
Nothing. Just one thing.
You gotta stand up, give your name and your address.
I'm Marty Sonovich, 704 St. Clair. The amalgamation program that Mingo's a part of, I always wonder if, if anything that we had to do as citizens or exactly what to look for to make sure that we are, individual houses are in that program. Is there anything that's been provided by the amalgamation, the company to provide, to make sure that we're in it, or, whatever?
Should
So
say
I noticed
on your
that
bill.
comment
On
last
your-
meeting was about.
It should show your
On your
provider on
bill.
your bill, if you're in it, what our provider is.
The paper, I just, so paperless, I just had to check, but I just want to make sure I had the right information to make, we're.
You can call for Bill.
Yeah. I'll talk to them, it should be on your bill, the provider should be on your bill.
And for sake of the citizens, I mean, at some point, maybe the renewals or whatever occurs, I mean, should we be putting something, or should somebody be putting something out to our citizens saying, look, here's the program, here's what you need to make
It was in the
sure.
paper, it was
Yeah,
on the
yeah.
positive page, I
Yeah,
mean,
we have.
there's only so
It's a
much
confusing
people.
process.
It
Yeah.
It really is a
No, no.
confusing
And then,
process.
you know-
The power companies know it's a confusing process.
And I
They
think
could
they
use it
help
more.
And they
that,
do,
Yeah, they do.
because what they do is.
because they're losing it.
Yeah.
They're losing some of their business,
Yeah,
I
it's
think.
a
What
confusing
the
process.
basic, what the basic program is when the city enters into a contract, the basic process is you're in unless you opt
Yeah,
out. They
unless you
send
opt
you a
out.
notice.
Well, I know I never opted out, but.
Yeah, if you
I
don't
wanna
opt
make sure I
out, you
opted
should be
in.
in.
Yeah, you have to opt out of it if you're a
Okay.
citizen of the village. And the power companies send some things out that really confuses people.
So,
Okay.
I don't know.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Smiley, you got anything?
I don't got anything
All right,
more.
bud. You know Smiley? He's one of our volunteers, our part-timers. Does anybody on council have anything? Good, you were.
Yeah, I have a couple things. Just a Jimmy Green Team, a little heads up type of thing. Household hazardous waste, which is like, paints and stuff like that. Forsterville Mall, the old Sears, June 13th, 9 to 1. The e-cycling, which is your old computers, as well as your old TVs, CRT monitors. But the old TVs, the cathode ray tube TVs, $10 per monitor, just to help defray part of the cost. It's costing more and more just to get rid of those things every year. That'll be May 2nd at the Infinite Electronics Recycling in Wintersville, behind the old Respecs, to get right to them kind of thing, from 9 till 1. And then the Steubenville Township cleanup is Thursday, June 11th, from 9 till 2 at the old ODOT garage down there. If you guys know where that is. But additionally, if you can't make that one, make sure everybody knows, you can go to any one of the community cleanups in Jefferson and Belmont County and drop your stuff off. Anyone that's there, you're resident inside the area, you can drop your stuff off there. You don't have to go just to that one. Just FYI on that.
Thank you, George. One thing, Bobby, the two sheds, the two yellow things down here, up on Park, yet. Can we get them moved?
You want to
Who
go on?
has to do with the shoes and the clothes?
Shoes.
You know what I'm talking
Shoes.
about? Up at
Yeah.
the-
Oh, those up there. I thought, who does that?
I don't know, it's not
Yeah,
yours.
no, I don't know who.
I don't know who.
There's no number on it or anywhere, like
I don't.
on the
What
bottom.
organization even does that? I
We
don't
gotta get
even
them
know
out
who
of there
does
because
that.
baseball
it's
season's
baseball
over here.
season.
Right.
Yeah, that's valuable parking spots.
Well, yeah, and it's gotta go, somebody gotta go with a grader and clean
Yeah,
that
that
place up a
needs,
little
that
bit.
needs
yeah.
cleaned
We
up.
made a mess up there. But if you can
All
check
right.
on it, will you? Anybody else
Sir,
sitting?
yes, sir.
What cow?
Why are you gonna say it like that?
What, Kyle?
What cow?
The IT department.
Yeah, okay, I see the
Yes, sir.
We are busy. We took care of some things. Judy now has Windows Office, Microsoft Office installed on her machine. So she could do some of the problems that she ran into. I took care of that. And that's all I need to say, Dan.
Did we buy a program for 10? Was we gonna buy a program for Windows 10?
I fixed it up for no charge.
All the computers have it?
Each department, if they're going 10, they let me know. If they need 10, they buy it on their own, I install it.
I could have swore we said we was gonna buy it and put them all computers we have. No?
If
I
you
must have-
buy
I missed
it,
that
if you
big,
buy it, it's only good for one computer. George,
How many
you can
licenses you get?
elaborate.
It
It's not an end
depends.
user. You cannot buy an end user. If you were a school or a college, they will sell one to those places that you can put on as many as you want. But for us, you buy one at a time for $110. It's good for one computer.
Yeah, I don't know about government licensing, but the school licensing, yeah, there's so many options for schools. I don't know about
Now,
governmental, but
with Microsoft Office, because I put it on hers for free, you actually get, if you buy Microsoft 360, it allows me to put it on 4 computers under my name, and I use my name for the police, the fire, the service department, waterworks, everywhere. My name is on top of it when it fires up because I utilize the extra ones you get. What I do is, if a department buys one and it has 4, it doesn't go anywhere but that department. They own those 4. And I just happen to have an extra one of my own that I put on that machine in there at free of charge.
Okay.
Thank
Anything
you.
else?
Thank you.
That's all, John.
George?
just one little thing I want to bring up. Mr. Last meeting, we talked briefly about Checkbook
Thank you.
Ohio, and Jags had mentioned he thought it was live. Well, if you use the app with the phone, all right, it brings up something. What it brings up, I haven't the clue what it is. It says Mingo Junction, Village of, and it lists 2017 to 2008, and it listed an account balance for each year. That's all you get, and that's on the app. You go
Pretty
like,
transparent, George.
if you go on the desktop with the browser,
Or an open
not
book.
even listed.
Or an open
Not
book.
even listed. So we are not live. I don't know if they see information from us at all. It'd be some other information from some other municipality for all I know.
That's all we
We
know.
are not live.
That's
It is
everything we
not
know.
running.
That's
It is not set up. FYI. Still not set up.
Talk to your clerk.
I don't know if it's that theirs. It's the treasurer's office. I don't know where the hang up is. It's
Anyhow,
frustrating.
old business, anybody got anything? Good to the order, good to the body, whatever. See, I'm used to doing the lodge, good to the order. I make a motion to adjourn.
So
George?
Oh.
Second by Adam? All in favor?
Aye.
No roll call, don't worry about it.